Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, a 16-year-old boy will be tried as an adult for the murder of a 14-year-old Raleigh girl. What we're learning from newly unsealed search warrants.
And Francine is a tropical depression, but continues to dump a lot of heavy rain across the southeast. I'll show you how much we could see here.
And the home of the Carolina Hurricanes has a new name. Get used to calling it the Lenovo Center. We're live with details about this deal. Strike PNC from your memory, right?
Hundreds of thousands of people are without power in Louisiana after taking a beating from Francine. The good news is that the water is receding. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have you along. Emergency crews conducted several high water rescues overnight from homes and businesses. Now that storm is headed towards Mississippi and then Tennessee. Elizabeth Gardner tells us what's in store for our state.
We're going to likely see a little bit of light rain tomorrow and potentially into Sunday and Monday. If you've been watching along, it looked like yesterday we would stay fairly dry on Friday, but now it looks like we are going to see a boundary lifting far enough north to bring us some scattered showers on Friday and then some light rain potentially on Saturday and Sunday. Here's a look at where the center of the circulation is about midway through Mississippi. It is moving fairly quickly, but continues to bring widespread rain from almost Oklahoma all the way to off the coast of Florida. We have some stronger rain bands that keep producing tornadoes down here along the Florida coast. And of course, you can still see that tornado watch that's in effect there along the coast of Florida. Our rain chances for Saturday are likely to be light and mainly later in the day, a spotty shower on Sunday. But then a different system develops Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, bringing us widespread rain. This will not be Florence, but a low that develops off the coast of North Carolina. It's possible that it could become a tropical storm. Rain is likely to be heavy. We could see up to 1 to 2 or 3 inches in our viewing area. And along the coast, the rainfall amounts may be higher and wind could be an issue there as well. Here's a look at Saturday. We'll kind of walk through and you can see the rain looks fairly light on Saturday and Sunday. But then this low starts to develop and starts to push more rain in Monday. The rain could be heaviest on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll show you how much we could see statewide coming up in just a bit.
And here on the WRAL Live Center, we are tracking the after effects of Francine. Take a look at this video from Dulac, Louisiana. Look at all the destruction that Francine has left behind. More than 400,000 customers are without power in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and at least 12 million people under flood warnings with heavy rain and possible tornadoes expected through tomorrow. Now, Mississippi's governor said no injuries have been reported in that state from Francine so far, which is some good news. I have another picture here. This is the governor of Louisiana. He had this on his social media account here showing more destruction and damage. They are working to clear roadways there. 26 people have been rescued so far from floodwaters in southern Louisiana.
Following breaking news this noon, a 16-year-old is now charged as an adult with the murder of a 14-year-old Raleigh girl. We're talking about Makia Daniel, the 8th grader at Ligon Middle School, who was shot and killed in a Raleigh apartment back in April. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has been covering this story since that tragic day. And Chelsea, you just went through dozens of unsealed search warrants. What were you able to learn from them?
Yeah, so let's set the scene here. It was here at these apartments on North Hills Drive back in April, where in a back bedroom, police found 14-year-old Makia Daniel with a gunshot wound to the head. And we are learning more from these newly unsealed search warrants that her family actually called the police for a welfare check here based on some disturbing messages that she was dead that they received from the social media app Instagram. Now, this was the scene in April of this year when police arrived here on North Hills Drive. Search warrants just unsealed yesterday are revealing what may have led to the 8th grader's death. One warrant indicates that several of Makia's friends believe she was killed after getting into a fight at school 5 days prior. Now, those warrants detail that several subjects meant to scare Makia and not kill her. Now, warrants show a 16-year-old Xylon Abrams sent a message to Makia's aunt after she was killed that read, and I'm paraphrasing here, "I'm sorry for real. I'm turning myself in. I love her and mean none of this to happen. I'm sorry. I wanted to say I'm sorry." Now, moments ago, as you just mentioned, we did learn that 16-year-old's name, Xylon Abrams, and we understand from the district attorney that he was indicted in her death in May, and he will be tried as an adult. Live in Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are each holding their first big events today since Tuesday night's fiery debate. With just 53 days until the election, both campaigns are hoping to build momentum as questions swirl over whether there will be another debate. NBC's Peter Alexander has that, plus a new controversy swirling around Trump.
Vice President Harris and former President Trump returning to the trail today, traveling to critical battleground states on opposite ends of the country. For Harris, North Carolina, Trump stumping in Arizona. After their contentious debate, the pair putting differences aside to come together at the memorial marking the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. But it comes as Trump is facing controversy over connections to conspiracy theories. Traveling with him recently, Laura Loomer, a conspiracy theorist who last year insisted 9/11 was an inside job. Earlier this week, Loomer sharing a racist post about Harris, who's the child of Jamaican and Indian immigrants, suggesting if Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry, among other things. When asked for comment, the Trump campaign did not address Loomer, simply saying his participation in the 9/11 ceremony was not about anyone other than the souls who are no longer with us. And the Republican governor of Ohio, a Trump ally, is pushing back on baseless conspiracy theories amplified by Trump in the debate about immigrants.
They're eating the pets.
Governor Mike DeWine saying he trusts city officials.
They have no evidence of that at all.
Urging Trump to stay focused on issues like the economy and protecting the border.
And I think the more he can stick to those issues, I think the better off that he is going to be as he goes forward.
Following Tuesday's fierce face-off,
we're still the underdogs in this race. It's tight.
The Harris campaign is calling for another debate, but Trump, who previously insisted on multiple debates, is now non-committal.
You know, when you win, you don't really necessarily have to do it a second time.
Harris is hoping to capitalize on her strong debate performance, even as some undecided voters say they want to know more about her plans, including how she'd address immigration and the economy.
There's got to be somebody that genuinely cares about us and has real policies and real ideas that are realistic.
That was Peter Alexander reporting. The numbers are in, and we now know 67 million people tuned in for the presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. That is higher than the 51 million who watched Trump and Biden square off in June. And according to Nielsen data, more than 6 million of those viewers were ages 18 to 34, while 16 million were between 35 to 54 years of age.
There'll be extra security on Capitol Hill this coming January 6th. That's when members of Congress meet to certify the electoral votes from the 2024 presidential election. It'll be the first election certification since the U.S. Capitol attack of 2021. This time, Congress will have the full weight of the federal government behind its security, including more officers on the ground and technology to detect potential material used in weapons of mass destruction. Tonight, President Biden will deliver remarks ahead of the 30th anniversary of the Violence Against Women Act. The president will host nearly 1,000 survivors, advocates, former staffers, and allies at the event on the South Lawn of the White House. Biden helped write the Violence Against Women Act as a U.S. senator. It extended historic protections and support to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault for the first time. The Biden administration also plans to roll out new measures to combat gender-based violence.
Goodbye, PNC Arena. Hello, Lenovo Center. This morning, the Centennial Authority announced it approved naming rights between the tech company and the Carolina Hurricanes. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live with what is in this naming rights deal. Brett.
Hey, Renee, and that deal, the agreement, the vote on it by the Centennial Authority did not take long inside this building, what is now called the Lenovo Center. We're going to zoom in, though, on the side of the building. You can actually see some of the crews working right now. The big tarp covering what says Lenovo under it. They put the C up, though, in center, and it looks like they have the E up there in their basket. They'll put the rest of those letters up there on the side of the building here the rest of the day. But I want to show you these renderings from the Hurricanes and from Lenovo themselves about what this signage will look like on the side of this building. Crews have been working on taking down the PNC logos over the last couple of weeks. And yes, yesterday I did manage to snag a glimpse of the new sign, the Lenovo sign underneath that tarp. You'll see that here in a second. And it's a 10-year naming rights agreement between Lenovo and the Hurricanes and the Centennial Authority. It's worth $60 million. The Centennial Authority chairman, Philip Isley, says that the partnership makes sense because it's a technology company here in the Research Triangle.
We are, for much of the country, a regional technology hub. And we think having that Lenovo here in our site and ultimately putting their products in place that make the fan experience better and just the general public can see what they can actually do is going to be really great.
Isley says the Centennial Authority is responsible for up to $1 million when it comes to replacing the signage on the building. And of course, the big tarp that you see here behind me on that Lenovo sign, that will come down in a ceremony next week. And fans tell me that it doesn't matter what name is on the side of this building, it's still the loudest house in the NHL. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Next at noon, a chaotic scene at the Kansas State Fair. What caused an explosion that injured 6 people?
Also, another giant leap for humankind. How the Polaris Dawn mission made history this morning.
Plus, language skills for kids hampered by parents. At 12:30, how adults spending time on their screens could be holding back their children.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
And we welcome you back with this live look right now. Carolina Beach, as you watch WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. There's plenty of cloud coverage. Might be a cool breeze coming off that water as well.
An adopted teen from Michigan who was left at a Jamaican boarding school is now back in the U.S. 17-year-old Elijah is currently in foster care following a court hearing in Traverse City, Michigan. The teen's adopted parents sent him to Atlantis Leadership Academy in Jamaica. Following abuse allegations, Jamaican authorities removed him and others from the school. Parents had 60 days to get their children home, but when no plans were made to pick up Elijah, he became permanent custody of Jamaica.
No one believed that the abuse actually occurred, despite documented physical injuries and despite their handwritten statements, despite the fact that 5 people were criminally charged with abuse in Jamaica.
The teen's attorney says at one point it was even suggested that the U.S. brought Elijah back to the Office of Refugee and Resettlement. She says it was a non-starter because he was an American citizen.
Scary moments at the Kansas State Fair. Now, 6 people there were treated for minor injuries after an explosion at a food truck. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office says some canned food was stored too close to a food warmer and exceeded normal pressure, and they blew up. Witnesses described that chaotic scene.
All of a sudden, it sounded like a big bomb. Everybody started running, we all ducked, and we looked over, and the truck had just exploded. Glass everywhere. People started running out.
It is unclear right now if the owner will face any disciplinary action.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Wakefield High School is dismissing right now because they say their air conditioning is not working to full capacity. This is what it says on their website. Parents can start picking up their students right now. We actually have Sky 5 live over the school right now. You can see all of the kids waiting outside. They say that parents can pick up their students now. Teachers and staff will not leave the school until all of the children are picked up. Again, Wakefield High School being dismissed early because their air conditioning is not working.
Michelle, thanks. Another history-making moment for 4 private citizens aboard the SpaceX Dragon. 2 astronauts stepped into the vacuum of space this morning, completing the first all-civilian spacewalk. Earlier, the crew made history by reaching an altitude of 870 miles. NBC's Tom Costello shares this great moment in American space exploration.
just go for spacewalk.
This morning, the Polaris Dawn space explorers are making history. Stepping out of their SpaceX Dragon capsule.
EV1 is go.
For this record-breaking voyage, it's the riskiest maneuver yet. The spaceship does not have an airlock.
Dragon, you are go to open hatch.
So the crew had to decompress and open the entire capsule, bleeding out oxygen, all 4 members of the crew suited and exposed to the vacuum of space. They explained it all here on Today.
All of us will get suited in these brand new spacesuits before we vent the spacecraft and then go outside.
Billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman and SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis venturing outside the capsule and relying on their new slimmed-down suits only attached to an oxygen line. The mission also puts those space suits to the test for potential future SpaceX missions to the moon and Mars. Preparing for this moment in a pre-breathe process, the astronauts had the nitrogen removed from their blood, avoiding decompression sickness, the same illness that can affect scuba divers. The Polaris Dawn astronauts setting off to space on Tuesday, breaking records, flying higher in orbit than any humans since Apollo, seen here orbiting in space on their 3rd day of the mission.
Jared Isaacman, the commander.
For Jared Isaacman, this is his 2nd trip he's paying for on a SpaceX rocket. He told NBC News earlier why this mission is so critical.
We're doing things that haven't been done in, a half a century. And the idea, hopefully, is we learn a lot from it.
Before this historic spacewalk on board the Dragon capsule, crew member Anna Menon hosted a very special story time.
Gather round, my sweet dragons, your mama is back.
The SpaceX medical officer read her book, Kisses from Space, to a select group back on Earth, including her own children and children with cancer. Proceeds from the book will benefit the St. Jude's life-saving work.
Higher and higher, we rose through the sky.
For the Polaris Dawn crew, this mission is about more than distance. It's about connection.
That is such a unique view right there, popping your head out of the capsule and seeing Earth right there.
I mean, to see planet Earth like that, and we're watching it from this vantage point, but to see it in person, and you just trust that your training and your equipment all hold up, and what a payoff there.
Goodness gracious, it's so neat to see. Sleek new suits, too. I love those. Elizabeth Gardner's over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We might need an umbrella at some point soon.
Probably at some point tomorrow. Sometimes from space you can see tropical systems too, especially large ones like this. I'm not sure if they were pointed toward the correct side of Earth, but if they were, they might be able to see Florence. Florence is a tropical depression at this point, but it still has a huge cloud shield, still producing rain from a little bit there still in Oklahoma, all the way off the coast of Florida. We've been tracking some severe thunderstorms and tornadoes that have been down here on it. Just this one particular rain band has been producing a bunch of tornado warnings down there on the coast of Florida. Lots of rain with this still, but of course it moves pretty quickly. It's moving at about 14 miles per hour at this point on up through Mississippi and will just eventually fall apart and stall here. Right now it has winds at 35 miles per hour, and you can see it just becomes a remnant low and just sort of stalls here across the Mississippi Valley. Let's talk about what the impact will be for us. Yesterday it looked like there would be a boundary that would keep most of the rain well to our south, but instead it looks like we may have that boundary lifted a little farther north. And so notice here at 8 a.m. we may have a few light showers. We could see that continuing through lunchtime, and notice at 5 o'clock we still have some showers. Now we've had several different runs of this version of the computer model, and they each have the rainfall a little heavier at different times of the day. So the best thing to know about tomorrow, have the umbrella handy and check in with me in the morning before you head out the door. I will have the very latest model run. Let's take a look at Saturday. Saturday looks potentially a little bit drier. There's lunchtime Saturday. The morning looks pretty dry. During the afternoon, we may have some showers down in the southern part of the viewing area. So 30% Saturday and Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday, right now we have a 50% chance of rain here. We're looking at a good chance of some heavy rain. Yesterday it looked like Monday and Tuesday. Today it looks more like Tuesday and Wednesday. This is a system that hasn't formed yet, and until it forms, we won't really have a good idea. The models will continue to go back and forth somewhat, but it certainly looks like like we have the potential to have some very heavy rain with this. This version of Futurecast showing 5 inches in Asheville and in Wilmington, and 1 to 3 inches in our viewing area. So that's a whole lot of rain. We take a look at what's happening as we look west across Wake County from our Skycam. Some high thin cloud cover. There's a good bit of sunshine that's peeking through right now. 77 is our temperature. Our dew point's still 58, so that's a comfortable feel to the day. Our temperatures this afternoon will climb into the low 80s. But as we get through the next 24 hours, we start to see more of that moisture surge in, and it's going to start to feel humid for us. And that's likely to continue through around the middle of next week. Friday, it's a football Friday. We do have that chance of some showers, especially for the afternoon, evening time. Hopefully it will start to taper off a little bit, but there could be some games that are a little bit wet. Nothing that should be terribly heavy, but some scattered showers during some of those football games. College, NC State kicks off at noon. Probably going to be dry for that, but we have a better chance Saturday at 6 p.m. for UNC and Duke's kickoff for there to be a little bit of rain. Temperatures will likely be in the 70s. With all the cloud cover that rolls in by Friday, our highs will be on the cool side all the way into next week. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk a little bit more about that developing system that could bring some heavy rain next week.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, we're trying to figure out why there are more than 3,000 power outages in Durham right now. Duke Energy's map shows the power outages here. It's just east of 40 and US 501. You can see this area here. It's showing about 3,200 customers without power right now. We're also hearing that traffic lights are also out in that area. We don't know why. We're working to figure that out. The estimated time of restoration is 4:45 p.m. So again, working to figure out why there are more than 3,000 power outages in Durham right now. As soon as I learn why that is, I'll tell you from the Live Center.
Coming up on WRL News at 4, the number of Americans who had to skip work to care for children and family members returned to an all-time high last month. We'll explain how local health tech startup is tackling the growing caregiver crisis.
And at 5 p.m., some people who live in Cary are finding black slime in their water. We'll tell you what it is and what's being done about it. USDA inspectors found issues at a Boar's Head plant in Virginia nearly 2 years before a deadly listeria outbreak. According to the CDC, contaminated deli meat is linked to 9 deaths and 57 people being sent to the hospital. Newly released documents cite insects, mold, and a rancid smell in the cooler. Inspectors also found major deficiencies with the plant's physical conditions, including rusty equipment, peeling paint, and holes in walls. Plant management was notified and directed to take corrective action. If your summer travel plans include a visit to 2 popular destinations in Greece, don't be caught off guard by an extra fee. Cruise ship guests that visit Santorini or Mykonos during the summer travel season will have to pay an extra $22. The country says it does not have any structure over the tourism issue, but there have been problems during certain times of the year in some areas.
It's not unusual to forget items at a hotel. A new report lists the most common and the most bizarre items left behind by guests. So here's a list of the most common items: chargers or power banks, followed by dirty laundry, adapters, makeup and toiletries, and rounding out the top 5, underwear. As for the most bizarre items, a pet lizard, a live chicken, a $6 million watch, a car tire, and 2 full leg casts. Well, a rare dime could sell for a pretty penny at auction. The 1975 dime is missing a small S to show that it was made at a San Francisco press. The no S proof dimes were produced over several years, but only 2 from 1975 are known to exist. The dime is expected to sell for more than $500,000. The auction ends next month.
The 2024 presidential nominees hit the campaign trail for big events less than 48 hours after their heated debate. The battleground states each candidate is spending time in today. Also,
I don't want this to happen to anybody else. What I went through, the experience, it was just awful.
A mother's frantic race against time to save her toddler after a Tesla locks her toddler out of the vehicle. The company's response ahead. But first, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Bring you back with this live picture right now in Baton Rouge, where the governor of Louisiana is expected to give an update on the situation there following Francine's impact.
The storm is now a tropical depression, and it will continue to weaken throughout the day. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what else we can expect from the storm and where it's headed.
Still a lot of rain with this. It's moving up the Mississippi Valley, likely to produce heavy rain across parts of Tennessee and Arkansas, and of course all across the Deep South. We could even see some rain during the day tomorrow. We continue to have a rain band that's producing tornadoes, or tornado warnings anyway, there along the Gulf Coast of Florida. Lots of heavy rain here in the last 24 hours. It's about 7 inches, but we did start to see the rain even earlier than that. So if we could go back past 24 hours, there were at least 8 inches of rain that fell right around the New Orleans area. And of course, we'll continue to see that heavy rain lifting up through the Mississippi Valley. We look ahead to what's next, and the tropical outlook has a 30% chance that a system could develop here off the coast of North Carolina. That could help to bring us some heavy rain early next week. We'll be dry today, some scattered light rain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we get into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we'll have a better chance of rain potentially if that low develops offshore, and some of that rain could be heavy at times. Several inches of rain. We'll go over what we could expect coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Sky 5 over University Drive and MLK Parkway, because right now there's about 3,200 people in Durham without power. These traffic lights are all out. You see folks trying to navigate through this intersection here. Again, University Drive and MLK Parkway. We are not sure why the outages are happening. 3,200 people without power. The time of restoration was 4:45. They did move it up to 4:30. So improving a little bit, but still seeing a lot of outages there. We are continuing to work to find out why there are outages. As soon as we know, we'll let you know from the Live Center.
Vice President Kamala Harris is coming back to North Carolina today. It's the latest in what has been several visits to our state over the last 6 months. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with where she is set to speak and when, Noah.
Jeff, Harris is expected to hold 2 rallies in the state today. She's set to speak in Charlotte around 3:40, then Greensboro at 6:50. Take a look. New video coming in from our crew inside the Greensboro Coliseum. The Harris team is calling this the New Way Forward Tour. A campaign official tells NBC News her team is entering a new, more aggressive phase. Since Harris became the presumptive nominee, another campaign official said more than 20,000 new volunteers have signed up. The official said nearly 2,000 North Carolinians signed up to volunteer during Tuesday night's debate. Almost a quarter of them were students at campus watch parties. Matt Mercer, a state GOP spokesman, argued Republicans have out-registered Democrats for years because of better policies. Mercer said, quote, Republican leadership in North Carolina is tested and has proven to have a superior ground game. Nearly 61,000 people have registered to vote in North Carolina since Biden stepped out of the race. More than half of them registered as unaffiliated voters. WRAL's Laura Levine will have live coverage of Harris's visit later tonight.
No, meantime, former President Donald Trump is set to make his second trip to southern Arizona in less than 30 days. But before he could appear in Tucson a second time, his campaign had to make a deposit of $145,000 up front. That required deposit came about because he failed to pay an $81,000 bill from a campaign event at the Tucson Convention Center from 2016. That bill was for 180 police officers to patrol inside and outside the TCC Center for 6.5 hours. Trump is scheduled to begin speaking at 5 p.m. our time.
It's a $200,000 five-on-your-side solution for a deserving recipient. You may remember the name Ronnie Long. The North Carolina native spent 4 decades in prison for a crime he didn't commit. After his release, he used some settlement money to build a pool shaped like Mr. Peanut. After paying in full and facing months of delays, he was left with a disaster. He called Keeley.
I know for a known fact that anytime you bring the media in on a situation, people ain't trying to hear that. They ain't trying to deal with that. They ain't want no bad reports.
Today on WRAL, see how 5 on Your Side helped Ronnie Long get his dream pool and learn how to protect yourself from construction delays.
A man was killed near Cary when an Amtrak train hit him. Police say it happened near the large Hindu temple off Chapel Hill Road around 10:45 last night. Police say that man was standing on the tracks as the train approached the station. The train was delayed for several hours before leaving the station around 4:30 this morning. It was traveling to Raleigh from Charlotte. No one on board the train was hurt. One person is out of their home after a fire started in their kitchen. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker that shows crews responding to the home on Picardy Village Place near Southwest Cary Parkway at about 8 last night. The homeowner was there alone when the fire broke out. They were treated for minor smoke inhalation. Investigators say they don't know yet exactly how the fire started.
A nonprofit program that provides one-on-one tutoring for elementary school students is calling for more volunteers. Wake Together focuses on improving reading fluency and confidence to boost learning in many different subjects. Hundreds of 2nd through 5th graders in Wake County Public Schools attend for at least an hour a week. There is always a need for more tutors.
Learn more about our students and their needs. Being able to pair them with a volunteer is invaluable, and it just allows us to extend the reach in the work.
Anyone can be trained to become a reading tutor. You'll be trained in child safety and delivering the reading fluency curriculum used in Wake County Public Schools. No other special skills are necessary. However, interest and experience with education and working with children are helpful. To sign up and to learn more, go to wakeed.org/waketogether. Brain surgery without a major incision. One Florida woman is living proof of a groundbreaking new technique. We'll explain the cutting-edge procedure when we come back.
Also straight ahead, the charges a Colorado man faces in connection with a wildfire and why he may face even more charges as the investigation continues.
September is Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month. A Florida woman found the cure for her aneurysm with a surgery through her eyelid. Traditional surgery calls for a large incision along the hairline. This one allows neurosurgeons to use a minimally invasive approach through the eyelid. Physicians do the same clipping of the aneurysm as with the open surgery. 3D imaging ensures the safety and patients can go home the following day and recover quickly. Parents who spend a lot of time on screens instead of interacting with their kids could be hindering their children's language development. Researchers found that parents who use screens more had children who used screens more, and those children had lower aptitude in grammar and vocabulary. The data also showed that watching screens doesn't help children's language skills. Experts say verbal interactions with parents are one of the important ways children learn language.
Tonight, state leaders will get together to talk about vaping prevention in schools. In North Carolina, more than 12% of high school students use tobacco products, 9% use vapes. The discussion will include signs children and teens may be vaping, where to find free vaping prevention resources, and ways schools can help prevent young people from vaping or help them quit, including alternatives to suspension. This fireside chat will stream live from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Facebook and YouTube accounts. It's from 6 to 7 tonight. Young people using nicotine products is the topic of our newest WRAL documentary. Investigative reporter and producer Kristen Severance spoke with dozens of students who say kids are using them in schools every day. Watch Gen V, Teen Vaping in North Carolina. It'll air September 26th at 7:30.
A Colorado man faces serious charges in connection with a wildfire that destroyed dozens of homes before it was contained. Plus,
well, my biggest fear was opening that door and taking my son out of the car without his life. I can't imagine anybody going through that.
A California mother shares her frightening ordeal after her Tesla locked her out of the vehicle with her toddler trapped inside. How a stranger helped her finally rescue her child.
we hear about children being left behind in locked cars on hot summer days. A California mother came face to face with a terrifying situation, not because she forgot her toddler, but because her car locked her out of the vehicle. Gina Silva spoke with her about the frantic effort to save her son after her Tesla locked her out of the vehicle.
I don't want this to happen to anybody else. What I went through, the experience, it was just awful.
On Monday, September 9th, a scorching hot day, Cassandra Pineda experienced the scare of her life.
It was hot. The last time I checked the monitor, it said 109 outside. So I can't even imagine how hot it was inside.
She was just all over the place, just saying, my baby, my baby, my baby. Please break the window, break the window.
Adrian Ortega and Cassandra were both charging their cars at this Tesla supercharger in the San Fernando Valley at 3:30 in the afternoon. When Cassandra stepped out to disconnect the charger, her Tesla unexpectedly locked her out with her 13-month-old boy, Liam Valenzuela, still inside.
And I started banging as hard as I could, and it wouldn't break.
The dramatic ordeal was captured by Tesla's security cameras.
He's in there, my baby, please call 911. Break the window. So it's horrifying seeing somebody screaming. It's unreal.
Cassandra and Adrian both tried to break the window. Adrian used this fishing weight.
I was grabbing it like this. With all my weight, I was doing this.
But the window was still intact.
Well, my biggest fear was opening that door and taking my son out of the car without his life. I can't imagine anybody going through that.
Luckily, we had this. I grabbed my 2 fingers.
And he began swinging. Finally, the window shattered. It took 8 minutes to get Liam out of the hot car.
He was scared. Once I opened the door, he was sweating. It looked like he had taken a shower or a bath. That's how sweaty he was.
When Cassandra called Tesla, one employee told her there had been a software update that may have caused the problem. But after a diagnostic test, she was told.
They said that nothing was wrong with the car. They couldn't give me an explanation.
That was Gina Silva. Thank goodness for strangers who become heroes, right? It's not the first time a Tesla vehicle locks out a driver. The same thing happened to a grandmother in Arizona who had just buckled in her grandkid. In that case, the battery had died.
Sheriff's deputies say a Colorado man charged with arson in connection with a wildfire may also be tied to other fires. Jason Hobby is now being held on $500,000 bond in connection with the so-called Alexander Mountain fire. A prosecutor argued for a higher bond, saying Hobby has a criminal history from out of state, presents a significant danger to the public, and has significant ties to Wyoming. His lawyer says he has ties to the community there and owns a business. Hobby also faces numerous other charges, including impersonating a peace officer. Dealing with those wildfires out west, we're dealing with a moisture issue right now in much of the southeast. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Yeah, Francine is no longer a wind issue. Of course, it had winds at 100 miles per hour when it made landfall south of New Orleans, but no longer a wind issue, but plenty of rain associated with this. As much as 8+ inches have been had fallen down in Louisiana, and we're looking at as much as 5 inches up the Mississippi Valley so far. We also have this powerful rain band here off the coast of Florida that continues to spawn tornado warnings. And so there may be some damage that comes out of that area. Of course, the rain started early yesterday morning, and this goes out just 24 hours. So we did end up seeing as much as 8 inches of rain in that orange shaded area. And we continue to see some of that heavy rainfall pushing up to the north now, looking at.
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today.
A 14-year-old Raleigh girl shot and killed in April had been in a fight at Ligon Middle School days before the murder. That's according to newly obtained search warrants in the case. Police found 8th grader Micaiah Daniel with a gunshot wound to the head at the Trails of North Hills apartments on April 22nd. Police say 16-year-old Xylon Abrams will be charged as an adult on first-degree murder.
Wakefield High School dismissed at 12:15 this afternoon. The early dismissal is due to a lack of air conditioning. This is the second time this school year Wakefield High has closed early because of HVAC issues. Other schools in the system have had similar issues in the past few weeks.
Vice President Kamala Harris continues her battleground tour this afternoon in North Carolina. She'll be in her state to kick off her New Way Forward tour. Harris will hold rallies in Charlotte and Greensboro. She plans to speak in Charlotte around 3:40 and Greensboro around 6:50 this evening. Governor Cooper will also speak at both events.
Right now it's a work in progress, but come Saturday, a Maryland corn maze will become a Taylor Swift utopia. A bird's eye view shows that corn maze cut in the shape of a guitar, friendship bracelets, music notes, and heart-shaped hands. The maze will feature Taylor Swift songs, a Taylor Swift-themed GPS phone game, a Swiftie section in the gift store, even Taylor Swift-themed food. Our pet of the day from the SPCA of Wake County is smart, treat motivated, and good with kids. This is Abel, 2.5-year-old neutered male dog, 48 pounds, a little shy, gives a lot of love though. Once he realizes a new person or place is okay, he melts into a sweet, playful, lovable puppy out there. You can get more information at spcawake.org.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.